Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a tag video. So this is the beauty brands tag. I don't know who created this, but I will, if I find out or remember, I'll have it in the description box. But I saw Hope Mess Tom do this. And as soon as I saw them start to do the video, I was like, yep, definitely going to do this tag video. So I love a tag. I think they're really fun. I think it's a good way to make content and interact with your audience and get lots of comments and talk to people, which is what I love, without having to necessarily talk about brand new products or do a review. And I've actually been thinking about making my own, but we'll see if that happens. But I saw Hope Must Tom do this and had to do this. If you don't follow Tom, you definitely should. I will have their video and channel linked in the description box and probably up here. They make great content, but okay, and if you are new here, my name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a definite soft spot for indie makeup and high-end makeup, and I tend to take a pretty analytical approach to things. I try to make thoughtful, analytical content about new products that are coming out and the things that I already own. And I have new videos every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. So, I don't know when this video is going up. I'm trying to pre-film so that I have 2 to 3 videos a week for the rest of the year. And actually made my list for December, and it's a lot of videos, so it might be almost a Vlogmas. But this video is probably going up in a couple weeks. But I just filmed this look and a whole 3 looks video with the new House Labs palettes. So that tells you when this came out, because I bought these last night. It is the 21st. I will have that video linked up below, but really like these so far. It is just a first impression, but really nice formula. So I will have that linked below, and let's get into the questions. Okay, so the first question is, think back to when you first started your makeup collection. Are there any brands you used then and that you still use today? Not a lot, actually. So when I first started, I've talked about this on my channel before, but when I first started at the end of 2019, early 2020, I was using mostly drugstore makeup. I think drugstore is the best place to start. Some people stay there, and that's fine if you like it or if that's all you can afford. But I think drugstore is also a really good way to figure out the kind of products you like, the colors you like, how to do your makeup without spending a lot of money. Although drugstore prices are getting kind of expensive. So when I first started, I got a gift of a Makeup Revolution palette and a NYX palette. And then I think I bought some more NYX products, and I discovered ColourPop. I started using ColourPop a lot. I bought a lot of ColourPop in 2020. A ridiculous amount of ColourPop. And then a little bit of Kimchi Chic Beauty around then as well, 2020. And I still have a few ColourPop products, but I don't really reach for most. I have a couple blushes that I still like, a couple lipsticks. I have a few palettes, but I haven't touched them in a long time because I just generally don't like the quality anymore. Don't really use any NYX products. I have tried a few, I think I have one of their brow gels still, and I just don't really like it, but I kind of want to just use it up. So I use it on no makeup, like when I'm not wearing makeup but I want to do my brows, I'll sometimes use it. I don't use any Makeup Revolution. I really don't like the quality. I didn't even like it that much then. And NYX, some of it's fine. I just, in general, don't enjoy the quality, so there's not really a lot. In 2020, I also discovered House Labs, the original Amazon one when they launched, because I'm a Lady Gaga fan. And I do, obviously, still buy House Labs. That's probably the closest, but that wasn't when I first started. That was when I first started getting more stuff. Because the first palette I bought from House Labs their first palette was $35, and that was a big deal for me to spend $30 on a palette. And it's been all downhill from there. Second question, I should have read that first. I read through all of these, but my brain has already processed that. Follow-up, what brands have you moved on from? So basically all the drugstore. NYX, I will sometimes try a NYX product, but I find the quality hit or miss. I don't use e.l.f. products anymore at all. I did try a bunch then, and I've had an allergic reaction to a bunch of them, even ones without avocado oil in. I just had a bad reaction to, so I kind of steer clear of them. I still have a couple kimchi products that I pull out every once in a while, but I don't, yeah, most of that I've moved on from, especially ColourPop. That was the big one. That was like my first like really foray into the makeup community, beauty YouTube, beyond like makeup artist tutorials. And I've definitely moved on from ColourPop. One, the release schedule was too much for me. I think they're duping themselves too much. They're not like letting their products really like sit with people. People aren't really getting to know any of their products before they're moving on to the next one. The quality's not always the best. And then, you know, they did a Harry Potter collab, and I won't support anybody that, and they handled that whole badly. So, definitely moved on from ColourPop. And if you want to know my thoughts on that, I do have a brands I won't buy from and why video, which is mostly like, I don't like the quality or they've done something weird. And I'll link that in the description box or up here. Okay, so question number 3. If you're wondering, by the way, I'm just sitting with my computer right here and I film with my phone. So number 3, are there any brands you thought were so expensive that you'd never buy anything from them, but now consider at least one of their products to be a holy grail? If so, which brand and which product? Yes. I never thought that I would buy Pat McGrath. I remember people talking about them, and I swatched a couple shades. I remember seeing people like rave about Divine Rose 1. And then I went to Sephora and I swatched it, and I was like, why? Why are people spending $130 and raving about this? I don't get it. And now I love Pat McGrath. I have most of the motherships, still not Divine Rose, but I have all but 3 of the motherships, although I haven't paid full price for like any of them. I've either used gift cards or sales or combo of the 2. But those are definitely staples for me. And I love some of her other products as well, not just eyeshadow. I never thought I would buy something like Natasha Denona. And I have a lot of Natasha Denona palettes. Something like, you know, at that point I didn't know about Givenchy Beauty, but they're make one of my favorite concealers, you know. I never thought I'd buy something expensive like Hermes, but I haven't yet, but I'm this close to buying an Hermes lipstick. So like, you know, I've definitely veered into that world. Once you start buying $100 products and you realize how nice they are and you can afford that, it's hard to look back. So there's definitely a lot of those mid to high-end brands, because I remember when anything more, like I was like scared to spend more than $20 on an eyeshadow palette or something for a very long time. So the fact that I have a few dozen $100 plus palettes is weird for me, but you know, things change, people change. Okay, question number 4 is, what is a popular brand that you've never tried and don't think you ever will, and why? There's quite a few of them. People really love, I see people, I mean, the beauty community kind of dunks on like Tarte and Too Faced and stuff, but people still buy them a lot. Like the pumpkin spice palettes, those kind of things. I don't have any interest in those. Like they just don't appeal to me. The quality doesn't look worth it either. There's a few of these. M Cosmetics is really popular, especially on YouTube. And I don't like the owner. She's done too many problematic things, so I can't buy. I just won't buy from them. I don't want to give them my money. ColourPop is really hyped, and but I have tried them. So I've never tried M Cosmetics. I've never tried some of those. There's not too many really popular brands that I've never tried and won't try. Like brands I won't try is, you know, Slim. People love Charlotte Tilbury, and I have tried her Magic Cream moisturizer because a friend of mine had it, and I hated it. The smell and the feeling on my face. But in general, I'm also not gonna ever try. I've never tried her eyeshadow. I've never tried any of her complexion products or anything. And I don't think I ever will, for various reasons. But a lot of it I don't think is worth the money. That's really it. There's like some brands that I think are worth the money. some brands that are mid to high end that I just don't think are, or there's a problematic owner or something. What brand perfectly encapsulates your current makeup aesthetic? Explain. I don't think any one brand does. I do think House Labs does a pretty good job. It's a lot of fun eye looks with like nice skin, which is my makeup style. I don't think it's really changed that much. When I first started, I really was trying like Instagram looks, cut creases, trying to learn everything I could, bold, sparkly highlighters, like that kind of thing. And I've moved away from like colorful highlights. I have them, the right occasion I'll wear them, but I have the hiccups. On the day-to-day, I don't wear colorful highlighters or anything like that. My makeup aesthetic is generally either like just perfect skin and a bold lip, or perfect skin and a fun eye look or something like that. I love a sparkly eye. I love a duochrome sparkly thing. I like an iridescent shadow, you know. So House Labs does a good job. Like, this is the new palette. This is volume 1. I'm wearing the duochrome shade. I think Lisa Eldridge is maybe the other closest one. Yeah, it might be Lisa Eldridge. Her base products are all about like just enhancing your skin. Like her foundation is just like a your skin but better. The highlighter is a glow from within highlight. The lipsticks are either neutral to fun, but just really good formulas and look nice. Eyeshadows are neutral and like self-enhancing to fun and sparkly. So I think Lisa, and like I like her makeup style, her makeup techniques. So Lisa Eldridge maybe. Isamaya, the brand, they're only released, you know, a handful of things that aren't eyeshadow, but I really vibe with that, her aesthetic in general. And I really like Pat McGrath too, but I don't think there's any one brand that encapsulates everything. But I do think, you know, I think Lisa Eldridge is probably the closest. Pat McGrath, House Labs, some of those are up there as well. But no, it's not. I don't think there's any one brand that does, yeah, everything. Because like Lisa Eldridge does have some sparkly shadows, but she doesn't have the like indie level sparkle for most of her shadows. But I also like a soft, subtle satin on the day-to-day as well. So I keep thinking, yeah, probably Lisa Eldridge is the closest. Question number 6 is are there, I can read, are there any brands you haven't wanted to try purely because you don't like their packaging? Yes, there are drugstore brands that I haven't wanted to try because the packaging just feels cheap and looks cheap, and people might say the product is nice, but I'm like, eh. That's definitely been there. I think there are some brands like, I don't love all of the YSL packaging, but I have tried some YSL products and I don't hate the packaging for everything. I think, what is it? Is it maybe Louis Vuitton? No. There's like another fashion house that has some products and it all looks expensive and kind of tacky. Is it Louboutin? I think it's Louboutin, yeah. They have like some like lipsticks and stuff that are just like over the top and expensive and like really expensive, and the packaging is just like, it veers on tacky for me. And then, yeah, so like there's some that just seem cheap and boring, which I don't like. And I don't really like, I like camp tacky, but I don't like unaware tacky. Like Isamaya, like having, you know, I have some stuff from that video I just filmed with House Labs. I have, you know, her Wild Star palette, and, well, I have both of these, but, you know, like BDSM themed cowgirl with a red eye on the horse. These are tacky, but in a camp way. Like, she's self-aware, she knows what she's doing, she's embracing the camp. That I enjoy. But just like unself-aware, you think you're classy, but it's tacky. That's always put off for me. I like camp, not tacky. and there is a distinction. Camp can be tacky, but it's purposeful tacky. It's self-aware. It's queer. I hope you understand. Okay, number 7 is there a brand you've only tried because their packaging lured you in? If so, were you happy with the actual product? I would say maybe the closest to that is Ismaya, and yes. I remember seeing the Industrial 1 palette, this is Industrial 2, and being like, whoa, that is intense packaging, and then like seeing the Prince Albert piercings and the lip gloss and the mascara and stuff, and like seeing the whole aesthetic of everything, I was really intrigued, but I held off for a sale because it was just too expensive, and I fell in love with it. It was my favorite palette that year. It's just something I still go to back to back. I still really love it. I think that's probably the first one where it was like the packaging drew me in, and it was packaging then colors, and the combination is why I bought it. I don't think I've ever bought anything just because the packaging was pretty. I have to be drawn into the colors or color of whatever it is too. Question number 8 is, some would say drugstore and mid-range prices are starting to overlap. What drugstore beauty brands are guilty of making this happen, and what are your thoughts on the rising drugstore makeup prices? This is one of those questions I saw, and I was like, yeah, I want to do this tag. I would agree. You're starting to see brands like NYX charge a lot more for their products. I wouldn't say they're fully overlapping with mid-range, but you are seeing a lot of drugstore brands slowly increase the price. And if it's one, manufacturing costs might play a part of that, and that has been an issue in the last few years, supply chain issues. But a lot of it is just corporate greed. There's been studies that showed that the inflation we're seeing is mostly corporate greed. Big surprise there. But yeah, I do see drugstore prices creeping up and getting closer to mid-range, and I feel like the price difference is worth it to me to then just go right into the mid-range for most things. Like a drugstore brow pencil for like $14 or a mid-range brow pencil for $20. I'd rather, in my experience after using both, use the $20 one, you know? Lipsticks are kind of the same. You're starting to see those more expensive. And I think almost all drugstore brands are guilty of this. I think Milani's kept things pretty inexpensive, and I think like LA Girl and Wet n Wild are still pretty cheap. But some Wet n Wild things are like, I see the price, I'm like, really? And I'm like, the packaging looks so atrociously cheap, like cheap plastic, like Claire's looking makeup. And I'm just like, I can't do that. Like, I know some people do, but I can't do that. NYX is another one where the packaging hasn't increased. I think NYX has increased the quality of some things, not everything, but the quality of a lot of things has gotten better because they're trying to compete with more things, but the packaging hasn't. So I think basically even e.l.f. is getting more expensive. So the world is expensive and I hate it. Living shouldn't be this much. I just want to have, work-life balance and have money to like travel and do stuff. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. The wealth gap in this country is insane, and I could rant about that for a long time. Okay, so the next question. With an anti-consumerist mentality starting to take hold in the YouTube beauty space, are there any brands that you still feel loyalty towards? If so, why? Simply put, can you be anti-consumerist and have brand loyalty at the same time? I think so. I don't think brand loyalty means that you have to buy everything. So for me personally, I really love Pat McGrath. I really love the quality, like her products. I love the products I've tried from Ismaya, Lisa Eldridge, House Labs. Like, there's a lot of brands that I have a lot of stuff from and continue to buy stuff from. But I'm not buying every single thing they launch. And I don't think enjoying a brand, being a fan of that brand and feeling like loyalty to your products, like, I don't really feel loyalty the same way other people do. And this might be an autistic thing. I don't know. But I'm not blindly following anything. Even musicians and artists and things that I like. I don't blindly follow them. I'm not a stan person. I think stan culture is problematic and toxic. And so I think you can be like, I love Lady Gaga. I will listen to everything she releases. I might not like it all, and there are songs that I will skip, but I will like give it all a chance. I'm following her. I feel like I'm a loyal fan following her music. Aurora is another artist that I really love, and I follow her music. I look for what she's releasing. I'm excited. I'm immediately going to listen to it. Tori Amos. I was wearing a Tori Amos shirt in a recent video, but that doesn't mean that I like every song they do, that I agree with everything they've ever done. I don't think loyalty should be blind loyalty in any instance. So I think even with your best friend, you should be able to be like, hey, that's a stupid decision, or that you shouldn't have said that. That was out of line or something. Like, I don't think blind loyalty should exist like that. So I do think you can be loyal with and critical at the same time. I think you can be anti-consumerist and buy less product, be critical, say like, we don't need all of this. Like, they're launching 20 new products this year, maybe buy one of them if it really calls to and you really want it and you have the money to. But I think it's good that we're moving away from YouTube and the beauty community being like, buy everything. Like, you think back to ColourPop in 2020 with me, I was buying not every lunch, but a lot of them. And I was like, ooh, I don't have these colors. There were some that launched and I was like, that looks similar to what I bought 2 weeks ago. I'm not gonna buy it. But like, you know, I was buying a lot of stuff. But even then it was like, oh, they released something I don't want. That's fine. That's too pale. That's too beige. I don't know. That looks too similar to something I already have. And I think holding brands accountable, moving away from releasing constantly. A lot of the brand, like Pat McGrath releases one mothership a year, one holiday launch, maybe something else. Ismay is doing more quarterly launches. Lisa Eldridge has like a couple launches a year. House Labs is launching somewhat regularly, but it's new products as they like expand the range, so I get it. But I don't buy it all either. So I think mindful consumerism and anti-capitalist, anti-consumerist mentalities can and absolutely should exist with loyalty, because then you're doing self-aware and thoughtful consumerism versus I hate everything, everything's evil, don't do anything, and I love everything, do it all. Those are too extreme. I think it should be a mix of, I like this brand, I'm gonna follow, see what they launch, watch what they launch, and then buy the things that I like and say, I don't need that, that looks stupid, or we already have that, don't need that. I think those can and should coexist. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, question number 10 is, have you ever felt betrayed by a brand? If so, what happened? I mean, I've never loved a brand and been so close to one that I felt personally betrayed by most things. Like, I know some people feel personally betrayed by Pat McGrath releasing something vaguely pink. I think that is overblown, and I've ranted about that in my Pat McGrath video recently. But I think ColourPop, the closest to feeling betrayed by a brand was ColourPop releasing announcing the Harry Potter collab. People saying, we don't support this person, like, can you please not give her money? She owns the IP, even if the contract is with Warner Brothers, she's still making profit off this. And tweeting publicly about like, haha, if, you know, I can say what I want because I'm still cashing big checks. I can still say hateful things because I'm still getting paid. That, and then saying like, ignoring people, letting people say horribly transphobic and homophobic things in the comments and not deleting them or not posting like, don't do that. And then saying, we're sorry people are upset, let's do a fundraiser. Not we're donating the profits of this, or we're donating this huge sum, like we're still making millions of dollars and we're asking you, the consumer, who are upset, to donate. That felt like a smack in the face. I was like, I don't love everything ColourPop does, but I still bought some stuff. That felt like a punch. And I think that's the closest to feeling betrayed that I could feel from a brand. I think the only other way I would feel betrayed is like Nomad Cosmetics. The owner, Felicia, and I talk all the time. I consider her a friend. Like, we talk more about our lives than we do about makeup most of the time. If she suddenly, like, did something awful, I would feel, like, hurt because it's, like, a friend and a brand, but, like, that's different, you know? And I don't think she ever would, you know? But they're not that kind of people. But yeah, I think that's the closest to feeling betrayed I've ever felt. Question 11 is, are there any brands that you feel give off exclusivity vibes, making you feel like you aren't cool, rich, or pretty enough to buy from them? If so, what brands and why? I feel like a lot of the luxury brands and fashion brands give off that exclusive vibe. They make really expensive products. You think of like Clé de Peau or like Louboutin, or, you know, like there's some just expensive brands, and then Guerlain is a really expensive brand. Tom Ford is a really expensive brand. I think part of that is style and price makes it feel exclusive. It makes it feel rich. And then a lot of the time the packaging should correspond with that. It should feel like a rich, expensive, luxurious experience. I don't think any of them have ever made me feel I didn't feel cool enough, because I don't really give a shit about that, or pretty enough or anything like that. I have had brands make me feel like I'm not rich. Like I have a lot of expensive makeup, generally that I've gotten on sale, and buying like $100 product here and there is different than like constantly buying a $100 quad or buying multiple quads like I see some people do. And I appreciate those creators that buy expensive things and swatch them and tell us the quality. I don't make enough money. I'm not in that tax bracket to be buying that level of stuff, and that amount of that expensive stuff. But that's not about the brand's vibe. That's just like, I know I don't make that much money. If I did, I might buy some more of it, but I wouldn't buy all of it. But none of it's about the vibe of the brand. I do think brands try to give off, like, we're expensive, we're luxurious, we're, you know, all of that. We're exclusive because we're so expensive, but they've never made me feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not sad that I can't buy every Tom Ford thing. I just know that's, and you know, like Clé de Peau is really expensive. Sicily Paris is super, super expensive. And I have tried some of their skincare at Nordstrom. They did like a face thing, like a facial trial on me. And I was like, this is great, but I can't afford a $150 moisturizer or whatever it was, $300, something ridiculous. And I was like, okay, I feel a little poor now. I can't buy this $300 moisturizer you just put on my face, but thank you. Like, I'll take it. So I do think brands, and then I think some brands do kind of foster an exclusivity vibe by their shade range, but that's a different thing. And sometimes it affects me, like they don't have a shade for me. They're all really pale. But I don't feel hurt or feel excluded. I'm just like, okay, your only foundation shades are pure white, white with a pink, white with a little bit of yellow, beige, off beige. Like, I'm like, okay, you're just not for me. You're exclusive. You have a very specific clientele you're looking to buy your products. Sure, I'm not gonna buy it. And I think we should call out brands that do that when they're, you know, being problematic about it. But like, yeah, did I answer this question? It's been a long day. I think I answered this. I think that makes sense. Sorry for babbling, but that's also kind of the point of these tags, is to get people talking and babbling. So the next question, what's worse, choice fatigue, exhaustion from too many makeup releases, or a lackluster quarterly launch from a brand you're typically excited about? I personally think, because I don't feel choice fatigue, I don't feel overwhelmed by the number of makeup releases, because I can tell immediately what I like, what I don't like. And there's been times where it's like, okay, there's 10 things coming out that I really like. I can only afford to buy 2 or 3 of them, then I have to like mentally, you know, freak out and be like, okay, which one do I want more, blah, 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 and I make pro-con lists and stuff. But I think what would be more of a disappointment is like a brand I really love, they launch something a couple times a year, 3 times, 4 times, you know, quarterly or a couple times a year, and it being like, wow, really don't like this. I think that's, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I really don't like this. I don't have to own everything. Let's move on and see what they do next. So I don't really feel too bad about either. I think for the general population, I think the choice fatigue is probably the worst thing because there's too many things. It's overwhelming. And if you don't know yourself and you don't know your preferences and you don't know your own spending habits well enough, or you don't have enough self-control over them, that can be too much and you buy everything or something. So I think for the general population, choice fatigue might be worse. But I don't think in general having a lot of choices is a bad thing because makeup is so subjective. Skincare is so subjective to per your skin type and stuff. Having lots of choices, I think, is a good thing because that means there's something for everyone. And especially if it's in each price range. If there's a lot of choice in drugstore, a lot of choice in mid-range, a lot of choice in high-end and luxury, it means that everyone in those categories can try something or find something they like. But I also think that brands launch too much. Like, look at Makeup Revolution or ColourPop launching giant collections every week or every few weeks. They seem to have slowed down a little bit, but you know what I mean? Like, that I think is worse for the environment and worse for the general public. So, the next question. Have brand trips or sponsored videos ever made you actually interested in a product, beauty launch that the brand was promoting? Sponsored videos, sure. If it's someone that I like if Hope Miss Tom did a sponsored video with a product and it was a product that they already use, like let's say they've said the YSL mascara is one of their favorites multiple times, or I know they really love the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation. You know, if they did a sponsored video for the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation because they've talked about it over and over and over again, I would trust that because I know that they've used it. If Khaki did a video about the Givenchy concealer, I know she adores it. If, you know, my friend Kelly did a sponsored video with Sydney Grace, I would, you know, be interested in that. Maybe it would make me interested in the product, seeing what it is. I don't think the fact that it's sponsored makes me interested, just the content itself. And I think if it flows well with the person, then I'm fine with it, and it might make me interested because I get to see something new, if it's like a new product or something. But I'm only going to be interested because of the product, not because of the sponsorship. I don't really care. If some super famous person says, hey, I really love this, I might be like, okay, let's see, is that something that I would like or not? I'm not going to buy it just because they said they like it. That's just not how my brain works. Brand trips, those don't make me, I don't understand. Like, if you're having a bunch of influencers or something come to a location to show off something, like Sigma did something where they had like Angelica Nyquist and a bunch of these people like come to the Sigma headquarters and they showed them their products, they showed them the new things, they did like a little event and stuff. That I think is cool. Or Pat McGrath having a launch party and having influencers come and try things. I think that kind of product it's cool. I think it's cool and necessary. It gives, like a launch party gives people, if they're in that area, to come try products, meet people, network, show off things. I think those are fine. I think the weird trips where it's like, we're sending these 5 influencers to Spain for a couple of days, or this like tropical resort, something, I think that's stupid and it doesn't make me want to buy anything from the brand. It doesn't make me like them less. I'm like, cool, a brand paid you money or gave you a free vacation, like good for you. But it doesn't sway my opinion on them or the product or make me want to buy something. I think those are just kind of a pointless waste of money. So yeah, to answer the question, no. Brand trips and stuff don't make me want to buy what they're promoting. I think they're a little silly. Sponsored things, maybe. but it's still really dependent on the product and the person and the vibe and like, does it feel natural and organic? I'll watch it at that point. Doesn't mean I'm gonna buy it. If I'm gonna buy it, is it the right product for me? Yeah. Okay, so second and last question. Are there any indie brands that you hope to see sold at Ulta or Sephora in the future? And I feel like this is a mixed question. So there are brands that I would love to have more reach or be easier to buy. I think buying from their website is perfectly easy, but you know, like getting more people to see them, experience them, you know, they're going to Ulta and they're just kind of wandering or something, or Sephora. I would love to see some brands grow, but then it's a double-edged sword because you're in that space and you have contracts. And I know I've heard from lots of people, like sometimes the quality goes down because they have to launch so much. They have to have so much product. They have to launch more regularly. Like Sephora wants them to have a launch every so often, like a timetable, so that they have new, fresh products to promote and put out on a gondola or put out on a like an end cap thing, or put like as you walk in the door. They want that. And so that could be overwhelming. That could maybe make the quality go worse. I know you've seen like Melt is slowly leaving Sephora and going more towards Nordstrom. Natasha Denona is leaving Sephora and going towards Ulta. Like her last mini palette and her new palette, I think, are Ulta exclusives or her website. So I think being in those spaces is expensive and a double-edged sword. So it gets more eyes on you. It gets you more exposure, but it comes at a cost. So I think if there's any indie brands out there that really wanted that, I think good for them. I hope they achieve that, but I'm not gonna say I want you specifically to be there, because I know how hard that is on the brand, and the contracts involved, and like, you know, if something goes wrong, then the company might like sue. Like there's so many things that I think I'm not like thinking like, oh, I wish Nomad was in Sephora, or I wish, you know, Trixie Cosmetics was sold at Ulta or Sephora or something. Like if they were, I think that would be great and it'd be really cool, but I don't want them to have to change the way they function as a brand or what they make for those opportunities. So long-winded of it depends, just like everything else. Okay. And the last question is, if you could give any beauty brand a rebranding, which brand would it be, and what elements of the brand would you modify? I don't know. I think, to go back to what I said earlier, ColourPop, I think they rebrand to be slightly higher quality, because some of it's really bad, and release like go through a rebrand where they're not focusing on launching constantly or something, you know? But no, I don't think there's any brands where I'm like, wow, you really need to rebrand yourself. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I think REM Beauty, Ariana's brand, is started kind of doing that now that she has full ownership, because it was like part of like the same company that owned Morphe and stuff. I think they helped her develop the brand, but I think with them going bankrupt and her buying all of it, they're kind of doing that rebrand. I think based on reputation, and like some people really love those products, but I also see most people be like, or it looks cheap, or, you know, like people seem like indifferent to it. So I think she could benefit from like modifying things a little bit. But yeah, in general, I can't think of any brands that I'm like, you need a rebrand. If you think of any, I would love to know in the comments, because I could just be blanking. That is highly, highly likely. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what brands that I use or think of. I think Pat McGrath could, you know, use a little bit more fun color stories, but that's not a rebrand, and I think her brand aesthetic is fine as is. Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to know what you think, though, in the comments. I was just looking at something like my current videos to be like, what have I talked about lately? Any of those brands need something? No. I think there's some brands in the drugs at the Sephora that I see that I'm like, it doesn't interest me, but I don't have a specific design or aesthetic style that I think that they should change to. So I don't know. Okay, so that is it. That is all 15 questions. If you have a YouTube channel, I'd love for other people to do this. I'd love to see more answers and more videos on this. And if you don't have a YouTube video, I'd love to hear your answers to some of these in the comments. Like if there, I'll have the questions in the description box if anybody wants to make the video or answer. But if there's any of these that jumped out at you as something interesting, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I love talking to people in the comments and like hearing different opinions. It makes me really happy. So let me know what you think of the questions, the video, all of that. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. It really, really helps. And I'll see you in my next video.